Here we go again.
It's Kennedy, my brother from another mother.
What's going on, bro?
Hey man, have you ever thought about when somebody has seen you wear a cold outfit multiple times? Like I saw it was nice the first time you wore it, bro. And now when they saw you again, you're wearing the same outfit that they saw was cold the first time.
Nah, I don't think I've had that experience. Uh, yeah, I don't think I've had that.
Listen, I thought about that just because, like right now, I realize, man, that I shot a red like mic drop, probably wearing this same T-shirt and
Mhm.
same hat.
Yeah,
And so now I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, okay, well, I think that I may have dropped part of it that I'm probably gonna drop also this week.
yeah.
So seeing that when when we'll start to chop up the video, it's gonna be looking like, damn, that boy was active. He got there wearing that same outfit, then when did everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Boy, gonna look like you been on promo week, like how
It's gonna be like I'm on promo week, man.
yeah, when you see all the celebrities doing the rounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, I'm happy to report that Beyonce is safe. She is no longer suspended. Everything is good to go, man.
Suspended from what?
You didn't see Beyonce was hung up in the air in the car.
Nah, I ain't see that.
Oh, yeah, 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 man. So listen, Beyonce recently was doing a show. She had like one of those stunts where she was in a old school convertible, and it's suspended above the crowd and everything. It was part of her coming in, and it looks like one of the cars starts sitting sideways, right? Like it was like, and so it was like some malfunction. And she was up there for a little while and she was just like, all right, stop, stop. Y'all got to come do something about this. And so, yeah, man, she was up there. And the one thing I thought that was real dope about it is that she kind of made light of it because she had posted a video of it, a slow mo, played the sitting sideways in there because the car was literally sitting sideways suspended. It was almost like the Chris Brown stunt when he was suspended in the sky, something like that, though, man. So yeah, 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 it's pretty crazy, but kind of scary because like she was literally sitting sideways and she was kind of holding on basically though while she was doing that thing though, bro. So yeah, she's all right, man. I got the word up, man, that she was good though, man.
I figure if anybody would know, it would be you.
Yeah. Hey,
All
we got
right,
some things to get into, man. Let's get that music going.
all right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
If you
of all time.
smell what the rock it doesn't matter what your name
The
is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Hey, listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the Slash Brothers YouTube and Facebook page. We're live on both platforms at the same time. You click on the notification, you click on that little bell, you get the heads up whenever your boys and miss doing anything. And don't forget to subscribe to our new TikTok page. Ace Kennedy. Hit him with the remix on that one, though, man.
You said what now?
Say, hit him with the remix a little bit on that one, though, man. We got to get right into it, though, man.
These trades is serious, bro.
Well, first off, before we get into the NBA trades, let's talk about the NFL trades because, like, surprisingly to me, man, I find out that Jalen Ramsey has been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers along with Jonnu Smith, their tight end, and they traded him for Minka Fitzpatrick. So listen, that's almost like all pro or Pro Bowl for Pro Bowl though, man. So listen, do you think that's an even deal?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't know who either one of those two people are. Plus, I ain't been keeping up with no football trades, bro. I'm still out here in this NBA streets, bro. But I
Oh
mean,
man.
honestly, I'm just not excited about the NFL, bro. Just not. I'm more like if I'm getting off this NBA train, which it ain't right now, I'm not doing. I'm more excited for college than I am NFL, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. I think that these kind of stories are all that I have to look forward to because my team ain't going nowhere no time soon, bro. I think at least you got that period where you could like let me wait and see how good my team is gonna be.
Right.
For me, mine is more so like let me just see how bad we gonna be though,
Yeah, but
bro. It's
didn't
a
your
little
boy
I'm
just
not
retire though?
Derek Carr did retire, right? But even then, we went and drafted some old dude in the third round when we could have had Shador.
Hmm.
And listen, we had Spencer Rattell. He was out there. And I mean, I guess he was. I mean, with all things equal, he was okay. But I mean, I'm not looking forward to it. So all I have is the stories of other teams to go off of, though, bro. And this one is interesting though because it's like the reason why this one is a pretty significant deal is that means that um 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 basically outside of Tua,
Hmm.
the Dolphins would have traded away almost all their team captains. Basically, they have four team captains that have all been traded, with the exception of Tua. And I think that the other part is that it's like Jalen Ramsey is all pro. Like there's Pro Bowl, right? And then there's all pro. And I think that he was very much the best cornerback in the league. And now that he's kind of on the tail end of his career, still very effective. Minka's a little younger, so it's just kind of interesting. I thought that it is kind of I thought the part that I was interested in the most was that it at least showed that with the Steelers, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, that they're trying to be somewhat competitive though, man. So um I this one kind of surprised me though, bro. And what I like the most about this one is that I like that Jalen Ramsey broke his own news. That he had a whole professional video about his getting traded there inside and going with them. I thought it was pretty dope, man. Very dope.
Yeah, I always think that's dope, man. You know me, I'm always for the players, as we will
Mm.
get into later. So, uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't really been diving into the and like it's been running across my phone, but ain't paid no attention to it, bro. I'm gonna be honest.
It would have been the story of the week. Would have been if it hadn't been from these NBA deals, though, bro. Let's talk about it, bro. Where you want to go with it?
Let's start with the first big breaking news. The first big breaking news with my boy Shay signing that 285 for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And now it breaks down to 41 a year, but it's not really because it's an extension. And so it's like he gets 62 1 year, then it jumps up to like 68. Then it's like some, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very incremental thing, but such a big deal because it's the largest contract in NBA history. But the other thing is that Shea, earlier in the year, we heard that Shea had let go of his management. And so it was like a foregone conclusion that, he knew he was getting the Supermax. So he didn't really need nobody to negotiate the deal for him. Plus, he's in good with Thunder leadership at this point that they was gonna take care of him, and in return, Shea took care of them because he left a little bit of money on the table, but we still got two other people that's got to get broke off, and Chet and J Dub. You know what I'm saying? Jay Will got broke off. Uh and Caruso's already locked down. Hart is locked down until next year, so him and Lou is next. So and then we finally, we got our two newbies that we brought in, and then we get rid of Dylan Jones. So we're already making those moves, and we heard that Topic is definitely good to go for summer league. So that's kind of the big news is Shea getting signed. Then after that, more breaking news happens that the Milwaukee Bucks signed Miles Turner, and that like befuddled everybody. It was
Right.
like, how in the world? First of all, why did he leave Indy? Which that was the prediction in the very beginning. As far as soon as the finals was over, they was like, do they blow the team up now because Halliburton's out? You know what they gonna do with Miles Turner? He really didn't really show up in the finals. So what we gonna do with Miles Turner? And they couldn't come to an agreement. I guess they didn't want to go into the luxury tax for him. So the Bucks signed him for a 4-year deal. And they was still like, but where is they getting this money from? Where say it for me, Charlie.
Where is the money, LaShondra? It applies to everything, bro.
Yeah. And so then no more than about 10 minutes later, we get news that the Bucks done did some finagle deal where they done waved my boy Dame Dollar is gone from the Bucks. And they gonna pay him his 113 million over the course of about 5 years. So roughly gonna be about 23 a year for him and about 20 something a year for Miles Turner. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, so let me take before we talk about that, I want to add one thing about the Shea, right? So the thing that I do find to be interesting about the Shea deal is this. All right, he's gonna be making about $70 million per season at some point at the peak of his contract. I think that the good thing about that is this, right? And this is where I'm gonna parallel this to Dame because that would roughly put Shea right at about the age of Dame, right? Where he would have these low, like I remember Chris Paul in the later years of his contract, his last big multi-year contract, it was backloaded, right? And that was a big thing that the NBA players wanted to basically have, just kind of secure their future with the team and also control their ability to be able to say, no, you can't trade me because of my contract. But then for two, you still kind of have that. Well, I can, if you're going to trade me, right, then we can kind of negotiate a buyout. And there's some guys who did that now. But I think that the one thing that's kind of interesting is this: is Shea taking $70 million? And we talked about this before. Do you see that as as business as usual? Let the front office sort that out, or do you see any issue? I've never been in any position to turn down any amounts of millions of dollars, right? But do you see an issue at all with Shea taking the whole super max, even though he earned it, right? Do you see an issue with him going ahead and wielding that and then not leaving as much to bring everybody back?
No,
Or are
that's
you
not that's
okay?
no. He did leave money to bring everybody back. His contract
Mm,
was he was supposed to get about 80 a year. He left.
okay.
So the thing is that he left money on the table so that Jay Will could get taken care of. J Dub could get taken care of. Chet can get taken care of. And we still under that second apron to where we really won't start having issues with contracts maybe for another 2 years or so like that. So that's why I said, yeah, it is dope that he did leave some money on the table. Not much, I mean, but at the same time, like you said, not counting nobody's pockets, but Shea does have endorsement deals to include the Converse deal, right?
So people, I bring that up because people always talk about LeBron James. As LeBron James says, I'll never not play for the max, right? Whatever that is, I'm gonna play for the max because he puts the pressure by doing so on the management to say do whatever you got to do, and even if I'm applying this little extra pressure, I think that I've always applauded the fact that if you are truly the best player in the league, you should always be getting the max, and there are provisions within the whole construct of an NBA team that says, all right, yeah, there is a world where you can do it, and you got to make some adjustments. I guess I don't have a problem with it. I just think about that some people kind of wonder with you having fewer players on an NBA team, why more guys wouldn't do like Jalen Brunson, right? Where he took significantly less, right? So that you can spread it around. Considering that they won the chip, Jalen Brunson did it without winning the chip just to kind of further his chances. Now Shea is saying, well, I got the ring. I'm a made man now, right? And I'm not mad at him whatsoever for doing what taking whatever the amount is. I'm just kind of curious now on what your thoughts on that versus what Jalen Brunson did.
I'm not mad at it at all. Oklahoma's in a unique position because we have so many young players and so many new contracts. We can afford to do that. Again, understanding is going to get tight later on, but that's a later on problem. We all know that winning an NBA championship is the last 7 champions have been different. So it's no guarantee that we will win again. Shea could get hurt at any time. Any one of the other players could get hurt at any time. So you do want them to get taken care of. Plus, this man brought a championship to the city. We haven't been relevant since Kevin Durant and Russ, and we're relevant again. And don't get me wrong, people still aren't giving the Thunder credit. We
Oh,
already
we're
that's
gonna
a
get into
whole,
that. We're gonna get
whole
into that
different
more
discussion.
though.
Right. But at the same token, Shea had the most incredible season ever, right? When you think he won He won Finals MVP. He was a scoring champ. He had the numbers when it came to the most 50 points, most 40 points, most 30 points, most 20 points. He was the Western Conference Finals MVP. He was the MVP of the league. He was the Finals MVP, like I said. And then he got the new contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talking about one of the best seasons ever. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's arguably some other ones you can throw in there. But I'm just saying, as far as all of those things, and winning the NBA title as well, right? So this man is taking a small market that you ain't heard nobody be like, I want to go to Oklahoma City, right? And now it is a viable option or a destination where people got to turn their heads like, what is it over there? They talked about us dirty in the beginning of the season because as soon as the post game came and everybody's crowding around the mic or wants to be like, how jovial we were. We weren't taking this serious. It's a college town. They some young boys. They ain't gonna do this. They was the number 1 seed last year, and look what happened to him. Like, all the things, right? But he got it done this time. He got slighted last year on being the MVP. So it's like, nah, that man needs to get paid. But I think him not having an agent and then taking a little less is a gesture. It may not be as big as gesture as Jalen Brunson, but it is a gesture in itself.
Well, and here's the other thing about it. The agents usually get, I think it's somewhere between 1 or 2%, basically, though, right? And so you're still talking about that's about $4 million that the agent would basically be getting, and that's assuming that they're getting 2% or 1%, though,
Oh, I
man.
thought it was like
Um,
10%, bro.
no, I don't think it's that much. At least I know that Shaq once said that his agent gets 1% of every deal that he
Yeah.
makes, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's a different type of money too, though. But I'm talking about NBA. I thought
And this
agents
this was when not this was when Shaq this was when Shaq was active though, when he was in the NBA.
let's let's check it out. Let's just see. Let's just see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey Google, what's the average number that a manager would get for an NBA manager?
The average annual salary for an NBA general manager, GM, is
No,
approximately
no.
Well, here we go. Here we go. Here I found it. The standard commission rate for NBA agents is 4%.
Okay.
So you thinking about this is probably going to be somewhere around $8 million basically that he would have gave up. And I guess in the grand scheme of 70 something a year, I mean that would roll over very nicely though, man.
But
I
that's the
don't know,
thing,
but
though. Look. He took about 70 a year, which is roughly about the 8 million that he would have given the agent. He's giving it to his boys.
yeah, and listen, I think that this is one of those things to me where it makes sense. It's a foregone conclusion that you're gonna get that this is what they're gonna give you. They have no reason to not give you. Here's where I think that where it protects you is in a scenario where the agent now can hear some of the BS that teams might think about you in a negotiation process if you were looking at other options. It just made sense for him with all things to stay in OKC. I think that the one thing that I do find interesting though, right? Because Dame has a similar contract, um, but it's on the smaller scale because the numbers were just different then. But it is one of those contracts where the number kind of balloons more. And the idea behind him signing that contract when he was with Portland was that he would stay at Portland. And if for some reason, if he did want to leave, the number in itself was so big that you would have to trade him a couple of years in, which the franchise didn't get something in return for him. But then at the same time, it's like it also keeps the players safe because hey, now you can't be traded. You got this number that you still got to go ahead and hold on to. Here's the thing I think that's crazy though, man. Uh, the thing that I think is interesting about the Dame Lillard trade to me is this, right? I was very surprised because they basically are saying, hey, you got what 5 years left on this contract? I think it's something crazy like that, but I know it's 100 something million. I know they're going to pay him that over 5 years, right? And I don't know if in the NBA, if they let you overlap contracts, if that I know they always talk about that's dead money, right? That's money that regardless that the Bucks will have to pay, right? So it's like it's on your books, but I don't think that it counts towards your salary cap. It's almost like how I don't necessarily think that the Lakers counted Luol Deng against their salary cap, even though they were still paying him. I could be wrong on that. What I am very surprised about is why Phoenix didn't do this with Brad Beal, right? I know that Brad Beal was like, and understandably, if you're Brad Beal with that many years left on your contract, you would be thinking like, I'm not going to accept a buyout, right? Because that's still good money. But I think that Brad Beal's number is less than Dame's because his contract was signed before Dame's. And so I'm thinking like, well, why the hell ain't nobody already did that with Brad Beal before though, bro? That was the first thing I thought about. Once I got past the shock of Dame, like Dame just got waived, I was like, well, how the hell you just waive somebody who one is injured? All right, let's say you give them that, but at the same time, it's like, how do you waive somebody who has a big contract like that amount of money though, bro? Uh Mind blow. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Like anything close to that ever though, bro.
But it's even interesting because even how Shams reported it, like the Bucks finagled their way to sign Miles Turner. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's
Listen,
not the exact quote, but I'm saying that's
it
essentially
was
what it's
very much like that.
yeah,
So let me tell you what's funny. I was watching this on ESPN live. I'm watching First Take,
yep,
and Molly and Stephen A ain't there, but
right.
it seemed like it was a very NBA heavy thing. So they had a lot of the NBA guys that are on there. Brian Windhorst is on there. They had this other guy that's on there, and they announced on right then and there, yeah, the Bucks are traded. We just got breaking news. They're signing Miles Turner. And Brian Windhorst is just sitting here perplexed, like, bro, like how? Because they didn't have no money, they didn't have no trade, no draft picks, they didn't have no assets, and that was the big thing that they were just trying to figure out. Is that even after they got rid of Chris Middleton, they still got Kyle Kuzma back, so you kind of got similar contracts. You just got more youth. You may got a little bit off because I think Kyle Kuzma made a little bit less, so you had something, but it wasn't anything that anybody was expecting, right? And then I see that Brooke Lopez then left to go to the Clippers, right? So then everybody still was like, even then, that was free agents that they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. And so then they were like, man, so they was like, so Brian Wynn, I was like, I don't know without looking at the numbers how this was even possible, though, right? 5 minutes later, right? I'm watching this, and they're like, he didn't, and they didn't even know what to make of it, right? Because it was so new that they're all trying to figure this out in live term. And I've seen Brian Windhorst predict something and it happened right there within minutes or the next time or whatever, whatever. I don't think I've ever seen NBA insiders so lost on how something like that could happen real time and no one knows how it's done though, bro. It was insane though, man.
Yeah. Um,
If you're Dame, what's the move you make?
oh, it's great for Dame because now there's no pressure for you to rush to get back. You can completely heal. If I'm him, I'm recording, I'm documenting the process of recovery and showing me, what I'm saying, on my recovery and showing how I look so that because somebody gonna pick him up. Somebody gonna pick him up. I mean, shoot, with LeBron on his way out, I could see him going to the Lakers. Shoot, at the end of the day, Miami could finally get him. Golden State could be looking at him at a point. Uh, there's options. There are people out there that would be willing to get him. I mean, I know you brought up a good destination. Especially being next year. What was the destination you said?
So I think, bro, what if okay. So I thought, all right, you know what? Miami was where it seemed like he originally wanted to go. But
Mhm.
that was assuming that they had Jimmy Butler there, right? But Jimmy Butler's gone. And so I'm just sitting here thinking, like, well, what if you're him and you say, I mean, since everybody is riding the Rockets bandwagon, right? You kind of watch to see what the season does, right? And you say, all right, Rockets, um, oh, I just thought about something. You go Rockets. Let's see what's up, right? And they got Fred Van Vliet there, but let's say they're not completely sold on Fred Van Vliet's role and how he pairs up with KD, who you just brought in there, though, man. If I'm him, and I'm saying, well, what teams can I compete for a championship sooner? I guess you got to say the Rockets, but then here's the other thing, though, bro. Why not the Nuggets? Then, right? If the Nuggets, I don't think that they still have a true PG, right? They got they just traded for Cam Johnson, which is also crazy to me, right? But that makes them better to me. So if I'm him, I'm doing like you said, I'm kind of watching. I don't even care for the next 6 months what the league looks like. I'm thinking like probably like right around, all-star break. I look to see what's up, but I take the whole year off. I don't even entertain signing with any team in season at all. And maybe he's not going to be healthy enough to do it anyway, though, bro. But I think that you do the same route KD did when KD came back. He was 100%. It's been better since the injury. So there's nothing to believe like how before it was like a death sentence, right? KD came back. He's better than ever. There's no reason to believe that Dame couldn't do the same thing. But I'm thinking that it got to be the Nuggets or it got to be the Rockets because I think that if you go to like the Lakers, I still think the Lakers are like a rebuilding situation though, man. And Dame's 34, right? I don't think that he got time. Like you think about that Dame Lillard is about the same age, younger than Chris Brown.
I ain't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
In
that's where I'm
NBA?
at with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think if you're Dame, it's yeah, it's the Nuggets or the Rockets though, bro. Um, I do like I said, I do think that it's interesting though that the Nuggets traded Porter Jr. because they gave him a max contract where he got broke off like 200 million. And I didn't think that he would play up to his contract, given that he came into the league injured and he had that one good season and one fairly good half season that made them say, well, we got to at least keep him as part of our nucleus. But he was clear when I watched him for the past couple of years, he was very much, I mean, relegated to being a catch and shoot guy. And I'd imagine if you can get Cam Johnson on a cheaper price, it would be worth it. I'm gonna be. I thought Michael. Listen, I thought Michael Porter Jr. was gonna be when I saw him in high school. I thought he was gonna be what Ant Man is now.
Mhm.
right? I thought he was gonna be like that though, bro. And I don't know, bro. They got themselves out of a sticky situation on that one, though, bro. But I don't know.
They I think they got Valentunas as well. They traded Sark, Dario Sark.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a question for you.
What's up?
So I've been watching like a lot of all the sports shows, right? And they're talking about the picks to come out of the West, right? So my question is this, though, man. It is I've seen a lot of people who, again, flat out disrespectful for OKC. They're just flat out picking the Rockets. The
Mhm.
Rockets got Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
and that's enough. They're basically saying, hey, the Rockets were the number 2 seed with Jalen Green. You now get Kevin Durant, and that's the upgrade that you need to kind of swing the pendulum. And we've always looked at Kevin Durant like that, right? Like when he went with Golden State, it was like if you got two teams that are fairly equal, you put Kevin Durant, it sways it, right? Do you think that Kevin Durant still has that much weight behind putting over OKC, right? Other teams, I get it, but does it make sense that teams would just pick Kevin Durant? I mean, pick the
It
Rockets
does. It
because
does
of Kevin Durant.
it does make sense because you look
Mm,
at when you say if Kevin Durant, you can pencil him in for 26, 28 a game, right? You put that on what Houston was scoring against Golden State. You take them 7 points that Jalen Green was giving you. Yeah, it's an upgrade, and it's a consistent 28. You know what I'm saying? So I get why you would think that, and then it's like now that takes the pressure off of Van Vliet having to hit these amazing acrobatic 3 pointers because and he's gonna be able to be open more. It's gonna open it up for him. Uh, and then and it also puts pressure on Jabari Smith because you just got paid, so now they're gonna be expecting you. It gives Ahmed Thompson a chance to uh a opportunity to be better. So yeah, I see why people would think that. And taking the bias away from it, you got to understand I've watched most of the 80 something games that the Thunder have played this year. They aren't, man, I rewatched a recap of just the Thunder in the playoffs. They not understanding the team that we have and what we're capable of. Like the defense, the like that people are not understanding the season we really had because you got to understand this is how I knew. This is when I knew that nobody was watching the Thunder. On the first game of the finals, our we switched our starting lineup where we put Case and Wallace in instead of Isaiah Hartenstein, and they were like, "Why would you do this?" Oh, that means that coach is in Mark Dagnall's head, and they don't know what
Mark
to.
might be hurt. Somebody might be this, that, the other. What? Yeah, 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 yeah.
If you watched us all season, you know that we switch up our lineups based upon our team, which is why Jay Will didn't even play most of at all of of the last series, right? Where but he played a huge role against Denver where he was guarding Joker. So that's what I'm saying. We've done that all season long. And people just they are new to it because they were forced to watch the Thunder in the finals. So do I understand why they're picking the Houston Rockets? Absolutely. But are they disrespectful? Absolutely. Because we got
Listen,
better too.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not that I don't think that is KD. KD is always gonna be KD. I just personally, that means to me that Amen Thompson or Fred Van Vliet would have to play at an all-star level. Not even just Amen and Jabari, but Fred Van Vliet. I know he won the championship before, but he's gonna have to play at his championship level, right? And I think that what all things equal, I think that they are that their team is a viable number two. I just don't, and this I'm gonna double down on this though. I believe still, and that TVA is fixing the timeline, bro. I think that Kevin Durant. I think that Kevin Durant, if he wins it, then that is one ripple in the timeline that listen, bro.
It would
If the
it would
TVA, listen,
be
let me ask you this. If the TVA allows Kevin Durant to win the championship. My question to you is that does that now erase off those the negligence and all the bad stuff that the talk that came with him leaving to go with the Warriors because he would have won a champion if he led a team or wins it. Does that erase the stain of him going to the Warriors?
it doesn't erase the stain, but I think people would respect that championship more than they would the Golden State championships.
Okay.
They're just I don't care what you say, they're not going to respect those championships. And the thing is, if you're not an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, where you just like, look, I'm an NBA fan and my team didn't make it, and I don't care about the Thunder, then those championships mean something to you. But most people look at that, whether you're a Thunder fan or not. This is like, bro, you went to a 73-9 team and joined up with them because you couldn't beat them. Like that's a stigma that you not that there's gonna always be a quote unquote asterisk on his championship. So yeah, but here's the thing: the Thunder struggled with Houston, even with Jalen Green. So it might just be a team that we match up with wise that we struggle with. So, but at the same token, all teams have a matchup problem somewhere in the NBA.
True. True.
So, yeah,
Is it? Can we safely go ahead and say that the Lakers are out of there, bro?
no, I'm not gonna say that because this, now they're gonna because they're still looking for a center, and it looks like the only person that's gonna kind of be left is Aiton. So if they get him, they're done.
Hey, you know what's funny? DeAndre Ayton to me looks like he seen, and I could be wrong, and and I'm gonna say this anyway.
Yeah.
He seems like he loves the NBA lifestyle and loves being an NBA player, but he ain't a hooper. Like he doesn't come across like he doesn't seem like he is like he got size, right? So
Mhm.
it's always been a foregone conclusion that he would get to the NBA. He got it. Like I get that you're taking care of your family and everything like that. But for some reason, no, bro, like he just doesn't strike. Like he doesn't look like he wants to be an NBA player without doing NBA work, though, bro, to get better. That's what it seems like to me, though, man.
I get that. It's something like, and here's the thing: I know Rudy Gobert actually plays hard, but
Yeah.
he just doesn't impress me. And again, bias because when I'm watching him, he's playing against the Thunder. It's not like I watch Minnesota games
True.
on a regular, but when they play against the Thunder, he's so ineffective. And in my brain just tells me that's how he plays all the time, and I know that's not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Who I am happy about though, he's the most moved player in the NBA at this point. Dennis Schroeder got paid. Uh, not a bunch, but he got 40. He's getting 45 for 2 years. He's going to the
Hey,
Kings.
listen. Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm at least glad that he at least recovered from when they suggested that the Lakers was offering him like 80 or 100 million and he turned it down. And then he had to go and play for like these series of 1 year contracts. I think that over that duration, he would have made up for that money. It's just that it would have made sense that he stayed with the Lakers. But listen, you talk about somebody who I thought was did almost an all-time fumble. He's bounced back because he's gotten contracts that would have it's almost like I think that KCP did the same thing. I
Mhm.
think the KCP turned down the contract at one point though, man, and by the time he was looking to be like, yeah, about that contract, it was like, ah, it's gone now. And so he's made up for it with a series of additional contracts and seasons but that's a all that would have been an all-time fumble though, bro.
Speaking of fumbles, there's somebody that was supposed to get a 3-year deal done. Unfortunately, they are caught up in a legal investigation for gambling. Malik Monk
Easily.
Beasley. Yeah, Malik Beasley. My bad. My bad, Monk. My bad. Beasley is alleged, I mean, is under investigation for gambling. And he had a 3-year deal on the table, and that is definitely on hold right now as they await the outcome of this particular investigation.
I
Charlie
believe
V.
the investigation. I believe the investigation, bro. I believe the investigation. Ace Kennedy. Hey, listen, it's gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna get with respect to giving somebody due process,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
these are allegations and they're alleged. I believe it, bro. And I'm gonna tell you this: the reason why I believe it, I saw some highlights, and these highlights suggest that he's betting, bro. There's some suggestions that he's part of making sure over. Listen, he looks like Michael Porter Jr.'s brother got suspended forever, right? And listen, I'm gonna keep it a stack. The only difference is that Michael Porter Jr.'s brother was found, and it was like it was blatant. And listen, if I didn't see Michael Porter Jr.'s brother and the highlights of when they did it,
Yeah.
I wanted to. I looked at these Malik Beasley ones though, Ace Kennedy. He looked hella suspect, and it's too suspect for my eyes not to believe what I'm seeing, bro.
So you said it is true.
Yeah, I think it's true, man. I think it's true. And listen, because you see, there are some times where to cover the spread, right?
Hmm.
You know that there's the league the unwritten rule, right? That
Yeah.
when the game is almost over with, you give it up. You don't go down to the score. He went down on one highlight to go to full sprint to go dunk it to cover the spread. They passing the ball. He even fumbled the ball out of bounds on one of them. He does stuff to suggest, bro, that he's shaving points. And I just refuse to believe, though, bro, that the miscues like that, like the timeliness of when they happen, like it looks like he's trying his best to contribute to hitting plus minuses and whatever the betters do and the things they bet for. Listen, I believe it, man. And I feel like I don't know what their investigation, what they're finding. I just know that there's been people who have compiled tape after tape and highlight after highlight of him, and it all looks like it's yeah, he's shaving too much though, bro. Shaving too much, man. I believe it, bro.
That is wild, bro. And
Yeah.
so do you think I wonder when they gonna have this wrapped up though?
You got to be done after that. Listen, if old boy, and listen, old boy was about the same way because he was about to sign an extension for like a 3 or 4 year. Now listen, the brother was like the not the lesser known, but the lesser touted of the two brothers. Michael Porter, his little brother, he was always like little bro. So he wound up having to go through the G League and build his way on up and everything like that. And he was just about to get signed to something long term with the Raptors before this happened. And same with Malik Beasley, though, bro. But listen, man, like when you go through, you look at some of the highlights of where their suggestion is, bro. Oh yeah, man, it looks too apparent to my eye. And even if the NBA says no, we found him completely innocent of all wrongdoing, though, bro, I never believe it, bro. I would never even want my team to have him on the team because I would think I know what my eyes are telling me. So if
Yeah.
he's on my team, I'm thinking he's gonna shave points. So, bro, I believe
Eh,
the investigation. Before I even see it, I believe the investigation that
that's your unprofessional opinion.
in my unprofessional professional opinion, though, bro, I think that he does. And whether or not they find him guilty of it, I believe he does, though, bro.
Oh, that's gonna have to be our new catchphrase, bro. In our unprofessional opinion, bro. We got to
Yeah.
get shirts and everything. It's recorded live. We got to get the shirts. In my unprofessional opinion, that
My unprofessional opinion, though, bro. He is guilty. Like there's no like, bro. Like I'm talking about. There's no way that. he looks. He listen. Now that they said that, bro, and I've seen it, he always looks like he's trying to cover the spread. He plays to cover the spread. Like he might be, I think ultimately you play to win the game,
Yeah,
but I think that he plays also
to
to
win
to
the
cover
bet.
the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Like if I ain't gonna win a chip, I'm still gonna win some money.
I'm gonna go ahead and win some, but in my thing, it still always blows me away that this is the whole thing about the addiction behind the gambling because you think like you already making millions of dollars in the NBA. Why
And
do you need to go and bet more millions of dollars? Like how much more could you be getting?
right, and that's kind of what you know, was it 5:20 in the morning? The podcast with my what's my boy's name? Jeff T.
FT, yeah.
Yeah, I love listening to them. But they were kind of saying that, like, bro, come on, man, how much more money was you like? Ain't trying to count your pockets, but what could you really? You got to be betting a stack to pull something, you know, even viable when you're making XYZ amount of money. So
Yeah. Michael Porter Jr. was betting against himself, and his brother was betting against himself to where it directly impacted the game. Like he would be like, "Oh yeah, the spread says the bet that I'm not going to play a certain number of minutes." So he would basically say, "I got some stiffness or whatever," and he would purposely get himself pulled so that he would basically cover the spread on the number of minutes. And when they start having all these small little bets that you can say, no, this is something that has to be influenced in order for it to happen, though, right? It ain't like some parlays or whatever people be saying cover spread. His were like these little bets, and those were the things that like that. If they're investigating him, right, then
it's
it
from
has to be those kind of things, though, bro.
it's from 2023 that the investigation is from. Yeah,
Listen, if he did it in 2023, bro, no, I think he does it now, bro.
yeah.
Now, bro.
Before we jump off this, out of all the trades, we obviously talked about the Dame trade. Was there any other trade that surprised you, or you were happy for the person, or was there a trade that? Because I saw that Gary, I mean oh my gosh, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to a new team.
He always going to a new team every about 4 years.
He kind
He
of
didn't
been with
play for,
Dallas.
but he played for about 5 teams already.
Yeah,
Uh, hmm, this is the one that I would probably say there's two that just for some reason I don't know why it would look weird. I'm still very surprised that Kristaps Porzingis got traded to the Hawks. Like
Mhm.
I don't get it
Man.
whatsoever. Like I don't understand what they're trying to do whatsoever with that. So that's one. Um
Speaking of the Hawks, though, they making some good trades, bro.
Hawks don't make good trades, bro. If the Hawk listen.
I'm
The
just
one
saying,
thing
bro.
I've
The moves that they are
listen,
making, they look pretty decent.
the one thing that I can tell you that I've came to the conclusion is that if the Hawks are involved in a trade, they're gonna get finesse, or they're gonna be on the losing end of trades, of all drafting. I don't know what it is, man, but the Hawks are so snake bitten though, man. And I just don't believe that's what I said. The Porzingis trade, maybe it's something that projects out. I don't get it whatsoever.
Hmm.
So that's one. And I think that in terms of just being happier for somebody though, bro, the boy Bruce Brown, who helped the Nuggets win the championship, basically re-signed with them. And I think that that's pretty cool because they need it. I mean, clearly they won the championship 2 years ago because they had more depth. And I think that him coming back there gives them that same kind of depth that they were missing before. So I think that for him, because of his role, I think he just rolls right on into it and picks up where he left off, like as if he never left though. So, bro, that was one that I can say.
Yeah,
Miles Turner is definitely the more shocking one
yeah.
because like this is what we always talk about when we talk about players and team and being loyal because he had been with the team. He was the longest reigning member of their organization though, man. And so the fact that, what I'm saying, like you would trade him and listen, I think that they had an option to re-sign him if
Mhm.
needed. He's a starter on a team in the finals. And so when you basically elect to let him walk, right? It's just like I can see why now that players would Jimmy Butler that thing then to say, all right, if you ain't gonna sign me, then let me go ahead and go now. I think that he probably stayed because he saw that we can put together a run, but it's almost like him signing with the Bucks almost justified Jimmy Butler doing this thing to me.
Well, that's why I told you I am definitely a player over organization because they will just when they done with you, they'll dump you. Because I mean, obviously, off of first look, when we saw Dame get waived, it was like, dang, they just it's all business, bro. Like, hey, listen, bro, you hurt, and we trying like it now from the organizational standpoint, right? I'm more loyal to Giannis. We trying to keep Giannis. So unfortunately, we gonna have to let him go.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Not to be prisoners of the moment, but because we're including the one thing I love about the NBA in particular in sports is that history is always updating and everybody resume updates after every season. With that being said, let me ask you this though, bro. If you were selected, now I know you're biased,
Hmm.
but if you were selecting the NBA top 75 players,
Hmm.
right? And it started and this year was including your criteria, right?
Hmm.
Do you still keep Dame or do you add, let's say, a Shea Gilgis Alexander?
I think that
Top 75 players,
as the top 75, just the top.
all time
Oh,
players.
I still think Dame is on the list. You, Unfortunately,
If you keep Dame, let's say, here's what I'm saying. If you keep Dame, because the reason why I'm saying Dame in particular is because I think that Dame was one of those borderline players where you say, well, if I was picking 75, I personally think that he may have been one of the last five, right? Him and Anthony Davis to me would be amongst the last five.
yeah, but listen,
So
if you just straight up ask me if I'm choosing Dame or Shea, it's gonna be Shea, and not for bias. You can't have that type of a season.
there we go.
You can't have that type of
I,
season and
I
then be
get it.
like, you're not a top 75 player. It doesn't work like that. Because I would
Dame
be, if
never
that's
won
the
MVP,
case,
right?
huh?
Dame's never won MVP, right?
No. And he
Okay.
barely be
So
making the NBA All-Star games.
that that to me, this is what's crazy. That to me rewrites the story and the narrative by Shea winning the championship and the MVP because I believe that Dame has led the league in scoring. But here's the thing about it. If I'm being honest, while I'm a big fan of Dame, and I've had a few of Dame's shoes that and I like Dame a lot. Like he's one of my guys who I root for. Um, has there ever been a time where you thought, even for a season, that Dame's the best player in the league?
I don't know that I've thought that, but I definitely thought he was a like one of the top 10 players in the league.
The
Uh
top 10. Top
yes.
10.
I don't know
Right.
that I've
But I'm
ever
saying
said no, I know what you're asking. I don't, and I'm gonna tell you what
top
really.
three. Has Dame ever been a
No,
top three
no,
performing player in the league?
no,
Okay.
because you still playing where LeBron, Steph, and KD are there. So
Yes.
I can't say that. Again, top 10, absolutely. But top three, I don't even know if
The
top five.
What
Uh
makes it tricky to me is that again, Dame is in their bubble because of by age, right? So Dame is in that grouping of Steph, LeBron, KD, right? So then it's like to me, he's like
because
the
you
top of the next guys,
right,
right?
'cause you think about it, right? You're asking me, do I think he was a top guy when KD was winning MVP, when Russ was winning MVP,
Russ was
when
winning.
James Harden was winning MVP. Those guys, and then when Joker was winning MVP, do I think Dame was better than those guys at that stretch in time? I don't think so.
Listen, I think this is, to be honest with you, man. If I was putting together an all-time list, I would have Russell far ahead of Dame
I
because,
would
like,
too,
I
but
think
you
that
when you
they
but
both.
if you but if I say that, people definitely gonna be like, "Oh, well, of course
Yeah,
you."
well, I am as well. I mean, they can say that to me as well. But here's my thing, though, bro. I think the reason why I said it, because the reason why I can say that to me is because of this. Like, I think that both of them have the homegrown that I appreciate the most. But I think that I just, for some reason, I respect Russ's path a little bit more. Right. The fact that Kevin Durant broke up with him, right? And that he still had to take that same team minus Kevin Durant, and then he goes and win the MVP, does the historic numbers and everything. I just think that his mark in the NBA history, to me, is unforgettable. And it's not to say that Dame is any less. I just think that, like I said, there's never been a point where, as much as I like Dame, that I thought that he was a top 5 player, and barely top 10 though, right? So but I think that the next apron below, like the KD, Curry, and LeBron, are Giannis, Joker, Joel Embiid, and Dame. And so then it's like, well, of those guys, then, and you might, and then below those would be like the Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and it's like, of those guys, then is Dame top over any of them? And I don't think so, bro. But I think Russell is amongst that crowd as well, with LeBron and them, where your whole entire prime was during that person's other prime as well,
I'm
though.
gonna tell you what messed it up for Dame is going to Milwaukee.
I don't think that he had anything to do with that, though.
He
See,
didn't,
that's
but
why I
no,
can't
no,
I
no,
can't
no,
fault
no,
him,
no,
but I
no,
can't forget it either.
no. He did have something to do it because he asked for it to be traded away from the team he was on. So he did have something to do with it. Now, did he have a real choice in the destination he went to? No, but he did not look like the Dame that we knew
Well,
once he went
he
to the
made
Bucks.
he made the All-Star team 2 times after he got traded there, though, right? So 2 times in 3 years he was an All-Star there. So there was no fall off, right? I think the biggest thing to me, at least in my perspective, at least from my perspective, I think the difference is, right, is that he was the number 2 guy, and Dame, as the number 2 guy, looked a lot different as the number 1 guy. So would a lot of people in that same situation, though, man.
I get it, but again, you still asked out. You could have still been the number one guy. You asked out, and so
I don't know how he would be a number 1 guy unless they were very, and I
he would
don't
have been
know
a number
how
one guy
he
in Miami.
yeah, but yeah, he would have been a number 1 guy in Miami, but they don't get hell, they don't got the when you think about it now, the haul that they got for Dame, it hasn't been they haven't really did anything crazy with that, though, man, because you think they got rid of him and CJ McCollum, and then they was rebuilding with Anthony Simons, and then traded him recently, though, man. So I mean,
Only
all
person
of
they
their
got left is
guys,
Scoop.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Dame, when you really put his stuff under the microscope, these last 5 years of Dame hasn't did him any favors. The only solace that I can say was that, he hasn't been on multiple teams like Russ,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
he's getting to that point where he might be, though, bro. So
I just don't
um
want. I don't want him to get John Wall, bro. Where it's like a great player and then just has this tremendous fall off.
I don't think that I think that where he wouldn't John Wall is because he's a shooter. And
Right.
John Wall was never regarded as a shooter. I don't know, man. It is a good question. But that is a good point, though.
Well, look,
Yeah,
man. What
yeah.
you got for the rest of the week?
Uh, for the rest of the week, man, listen, I'm very excited because I'm still riding the high. I'm here for a good time, though, man. And I've been back in the studio, man, trying to cook up some new stuff. Got new plugins, though, man. Got some amazing new additions to everything I got, though, man. But golly, it's been incredible, man. It's so refreshing, though, man. I literally felt like when you get that new something, you playing around with it. That's been me all week, though, man. So but I got that Been playing a lot with it heavy today. But listen, man, just riding the high. I got to start putting together a couple more editings for some visuals that I'm doing for some red lights for this particular joint, though, man. For the here for the good time. But listen, I could go on and on, but very happy at the reception to here for a good time, though, man. It's some of the things that I've gotten. This feedback has been very dope, though, man. Probably the feedback gets better and better with more and more projects that you put out, though, man. But I think that this one in particular, for why I put it out and for the direction, we could talk more about it next week. But yeah, man, I'm very happy with them riding that high, though, bro.
That's what's up. You know, the
Hunter,
fourth
what
is
you got, man?
well, you know, the fourth is about to come up, so I'm gonna spend some time with some family. Actually, gonna do a family dinner here in just a little bit. And then other than that, I'm finishing up. Like I got very, very small tweaks to make on this wedding so I can finally get it back to the couple that allowed me to shoot their wedding. So I'm doing some tweaks on that. And you know, that's about it. About to get ready for this holiday. But look, man,
That's the
we are the Slash Brothers podcast every Tuesday at 6 Central Standard Time and 7 o'clock EST. We here for a good time every week. And yo, we out of this thing from ATL to OKC. We are the Slash Brothers.
It doesn't matter what your name
The
is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
Can you
of
dig
all
it,
time.
sucker?